G'day, it's Melissa Shannon, founder of Digital Scrapbooking HQ. Welcome to the Scrapbooking Inspiration Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Shannon, founder of digitalscrapbookinghq.com, and today I'm continuing on my series about all the tools that I love to use in my scrapbooking. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to share about one of my favorite tools, RadLab. Now, if you haven't heard of Totally Rad, you are missing out. So Totally Rad originally they're photographers and they were developing their own Photoshop plugins or actions. And then they were like, hey, we've got all these cool actions. Why don't we actually turn them into a giant, awesome, amazing plugin? So RadLab is that Totally Rad plugin. So Photoshop and Photoshop Elements allow you to use other programs that plug in to make Photoshop or Photoshop Elements do more cool stuff. So the plugin is a program that you download and you install on your computer, and then once you've got it linked up to Photoshop, it does amazing things. RadLab, what does it even do? So RadLab is basically a system that will give you different looks to your photos. So Photoshop Elements already has some of these styles built in, and Photoshop in its typical, you really need to have a degree to be able to use this software, makes you create or just download styles for your photos in the forms of scripts or actions. So RadLab, you basically open up your photo file as usual, then you click on the RadLab icon, which looks like a cool little beaker from the science lab, and it opens up and it has your photo on the left. Then it has this whole bunch of cool styles that you can apply, and then on the right hand side it lets you tweak and adjust the various styles. So I have a couple that are my favorites. I love lights on. I always run lights on just about. It just makes the photo look brighter. And then I often run clarify, which is like clarify, but like Claire, the girl's name. So clarify. It just increases the contrast a little bit, pops the colour, and there's all kinds of other ones. So they're probably the two that I love the most. And then they've got a number of different actual photo style tints, like orangey glad and something about blue. So basically they just add a bit of blue or orange or the colour. They use a lot of puns in their names so that you can work out what's what. Once you click done, it adds a second layer to your photo, and it runs its little magical script, and then what's left is your original file as the bottom layer, and then on top of it, covering it completely, is the altered RadLab version. Now the great thing is, because your other photo is still there, all you can do is just open it up, click on the RadLab layer and reduce the opacity so that it's not so harsh an alteration, and then you can even apply a layer mask so that you only apply the effects to the people's faces or some such thing like that. So I have several RadLab tutorials on my website, which I'll link up in the show notes, which will be at scrapbookingpodcast.com, and you can even download the preset styles I use. So in this example, I've pumped up the color and made it look more golden, and then I've also added a vignette, which is like a dark edge to the edge of the photo. Gives it a really stylish portrait type look. That's another great thing I forgot to mention. You can actually share your favorite styles with other people that have the program. Now, the pros of RadLab is that it is super easy to use. It's literally one click, browse through some pictures and choose which one you like best. Easy. Another pro is that it doesn't edit your original photo layer, so you can always fall back on that if you need to. Another pro is that it's super fast and really stable. I've had my Photoshop and Photoshop Elements crash when I've been using filters and plugins before. RadLab is stable and it's pretty fast too. And finally we come to the cons. So for RadLab there's probably only two cons I can really think of. One is that it is a separate plugin, so you see one final layer in Photoshop Elements when it's completed processing. You can't see all the inner workings and adjust them manually, which, isn't that big of a con because we're really using it to make things easier on ourselves. And the second con is the price. RadLab is usually $149 when it's not on sale. Now you can watch out for sales. They usually have a couple during the year, and it's definitely worth being on their mailing list to watch that. Now, of course, if you're not ready to splash out, you should definitely head over to scrapbookingpodcast.com/65, because in the show notes I'm going to have a link to a giveaway where I'm giving away one copy of RadLab. So you want to enter to win that. And if you don't win, save your pennies and watch for a sale because it is so worth it. I use it on almost every scrapbook page I create. Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Scrapbooking Inspiration Podcast today. If you'd like to learn more, head to scrapbookingpodcast.com where you can find the show notes for this episode and the links to everything we've talked about.